And we're live. Welcome back, everyone, to the HVAC 2.0 show. Tonight, it may just be me and Ted. I don't know if anybody else is planning on pulling in uh, later today. I don't know what everybody else has going on, but but yeah. Well, what did we have on the agenda for tonight?
Well, so I was sort of hoping Ronnie might show up because he had a wonderful story about being the last guy through the door. So the customer had a bunch of prior quotes, and the customer's like, "So my budget's $13,000," and Ronnie ended up walking out the door with a signed contract for 18 grand.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so somehow I'd like to pivot all of this discussion of revenue per lead and then profit per lead and tracking your revenue and tracking your profit and being able to see how profitable each lead is to both the company and to the HVAC salesperson. Before they start using the HVAC20 process, and then watching it, see how much it improves over time. Because in talking to you, Tanner, sounds to me like there are a lot of companies out there where they sort of live somewhere between $2,000 and $4,000 of profit per lead run. And it feels like HVAC20 guys are living somewhere in the $5,000 to $10,000 of profit per lead run area. And you were talking about the incredible amount of flexibility that affords you to have much more profitable jobs. And you can't get more profitable jobs just by selling bigger jobs. And you can't get more profitable jobs just by having a better closing rate. I mean, you sort of have to improve all of the above.
Yeah.
But all you have to do is improve all of the above by small amounts to get a big outcome.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of that comes, by following the process, you get better design. So there are fewer callbacks, and staying out of callback purgatory is going to really help the bottom line. I'm not sure people take, I'm not sure that there's anybody that's keeping track of what their callback expense is.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that it's very difficult. It's kind of difficult to track, really, because okay, they call back and say you offered say your labor warranty of everyone kind of has if we install a system, if you have problems between this point and this point, like you're not paying anything, we're going to get you fixed. Some people may have 2 years, 3 years, maybe even up to 4 years. Well, if you are you tracking among all 4 years, and then are you attributing that to, okay, what percent is a you callback and what percent is a manufacturer callback? Because
or
it's
them
different.
callback, an installer callback versus a salesperson callback.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're definitely not distinguishing that.
What I really like to be able to see is callbacks per salesperson, or callbacks as a percentage of their leads run.
Yeah.
Or sales made. Because then you could start to see patterns that could be fixable.
Yeah. And really, probably the easiest thing to go with that would just to be attribute to whatever that job is, attribute all of those to the same salesperson and the same install team. So they both share that number. So every job that the salesperson sells, how many times do they have to have a callback on that? And then for the install teams, and that might interchange salespeople, but like when they go on, when they do an install,
interchange salespeople.
Yeah. So then that at a minimum, you do it that way. Then you can look at everybody across the board because they're all blended, and you can just go, okay, well, Ronnie never has he has very few callbacks, and of the times that they are, it's pretty, equivalent to
Universally
other.
something that the
Yeah,
install team screwed up.
yeah,
Because
eh,
he's commissioning his thermostat, or they didn't install
yeah,
the drop properly, or
yeah. And so, and that would be something that, I mean, I feel like you should be tracking, because if you've
I
got
mean, if
one
you're
guy that,
replacing whole brand new equipment because the
oh,
equipment's wrong,
oh yeah,
that's like, you're just gonna eat that? You're not gonna keep
yeah,
track of where that loss is?
yeah, yeah. And I think, I would imagine, for the bigger companies that way, it's it's probably something where, okay, they can afford it easily, and so it just kind of gets swept under the rug. Like, we've got a problem, and the problem going away is good enough. It's like, that's just like, okay, the problem's gone, good. Like, it's
Problem's
not
gone, good. Let
there's
and
no,
not thinking about, how do I avoid this problem in the first place? Because 'Cause
yeah,
I'm not keeping
exactly,
track how often this problem occurs.
yeah. And I mean, it should be, because without it, you can't have a good feedback loop to go, okay, like, and it's not even,
When
it don't
Jeff
even have
was at Williams, he's like, all the equipment on the outside rack around the warehouse was equipment that was replaced because he was the janitor who had to go out and fix either a bad install or a bad sale.
hmm Yeah,
It got to the point where they're like, look at all this lightly used equipment we got.
yeah, yeah. Which, funny thing that's kind of, adjacent to that, a similar, or not a similar, but I guess an adjacent situation, that my my HVAC instructor that when I went to, Wallace for, he called me and was like, "Hey, I was wanting to pick your brain on, some ductwork problems. Wanted to see what you thought. Blah blah blah." Well, I kind of got to. He was telling me what he had going on and all this other stuff. Well, what happened is, he had a former student of his that was building a house, and he was putting in the system. Well, his father-in-law owns a company in Tennessee, an HVAC company. So he bought him, equipment, and built the ductwork, sent it down. They installed the equipment, but then they just told him he install the ductwork or have someone to install it for him. So he was getting my old instructor Brian to install it for him. And so Brian was just going in going, okay, you're
I didn't
paying
meet
me to.
Brian, did I?
No, no,
Okay,
unfortunately, no. He kind of lives a good ways away, and at the
okay.
time, he was still at Lawrence County, which is it's a, it's not close by. Like, it's a good ways
Okay.
away. Otherwise, I
Sorry to
definitely would
interrupt. I was
have.
just
Yeah,
yeah,
but anyways, well, he said, he was like, okay, all he was being paid to do was go put metal together, hang it, and install it. That's it. He didn't do
right.
any design. He he was given the materials, blah blah blah. Well, he said that, he agreed to it. Like, yeah, I'll do it, blah blah blah. He gets out there and he starts doing it. He starts looking around at stuff, and he looks at the equipment and he goes, hold on, how big's this unit? And that guy goes, oh, it's a 5 ton. This is like a, what did he say, 2,600 square foot house, all spray foam.
Oh, boy.
And he goes, uh, I don't know about this. And he goes, oh, don't worry, and it's a green speed.
Oh,
And he,
really?
it's a green speed. And he goes, oh, well, my father-in-law said you can just tell it to not run above, X% and it'll be fine. And which is like, okay, I mean, yes, but like, do you want to pay a bunch of money to buy a green speed to turn it into a single stage? Like, but long
Wow.
story short, he was worried. Like, he started doing all this, and he's like, this is not going to work, because another thing is, it was a 5 ton, but it wasn't one 5 ton for the whole house. There's another 3 ton unit that was going to serve, their basement.
Oh my
So it's
gosh, so
eight.
he at least he had one that was the right size for the
Yeah.
whole house.
Yes. And on top of that, it's a gas furnace, 110,000 BTU gas furnace, and it's a
Oh.
straight AC green speed.
Oh. So he's got 2 straight
Yes.
AC green speeds.
Yes. And so, he calls me and he's like, is there any way that I might be able to kind of make this work as good as I can? And I was like, the only way you're going to do anything
Install
is
just
to,
one of
yeah,
those.
yeah, exactly. And so we kind of talked about it. And he's like, well, I'm going to try to see if I can get him to install the 3-ton. So he goes out and he talks to him. The guy's just like, nah, it'll be fine. And
Okay.
I was like, and
Okay.
yeah, and I told him,
Have
and
him
I was like,
call
well,
me when he
that's
wants
it.
it fixed.
Exactly. And I said, well, the good thing is that he hired you just to put metal together. So you can't be to blame. And he's the type that he cares a little too much. Like he cares more than they do. And he's
He
like,
needs to learn hero versus guide.
yeah, and he's not a contractor anymore. Like
Okay.
he's still in as a teacher. He was doing it just to help someone out. And so that's why he was calling me. He was just like, "Is there what can I do? Is there any way?" And I go,
Leave him here.
"Here's
Here's one of my
yeah."
magnetic, business cards.
Yeah. I told him, I said, I mean, if he wants to, he can reach out to me. Uh, and I said, which what I told him, I said, honestly, here's what I would do. I would go and say, hey, there's this guy. His name's Nate Adams. You can book an hour consultation with him for $250. You can do a Zoom call and review all like your house that you're building and see if there's any major flaws that you need to know about. You
Mm,
know, it'll be the best $250 you ever spent. And so I told him, yeah, do that because obviously then Nate's going to be like, where are you at? Oh, well, you're right down the road from this guy.
yeah.
You've got a significant problem. Tear that out. Give this guy a call. But anyways, it was a funny one because it was just like all of the worst decisions. Because I'm like, listen, that furnace is going to like when it's going to sound like a jet engine. There's no way around it because he
Were
gave
they both 150 or 130,000 BTU furnaces?
no, I don't know the size of the furnace for the basement. It was just
Can't
110 for the main
Okay, it
area,
can't
but
be bigger
still,
than 80 for a 3 ton, can it?
I I don't think so. It probably for a 3-ton they probably did an 80 if
Yeah.
they're sizing that stupidly, but like, and
Oh,
it
did you
wasn't.
hear Ronnie? Did you hear Ronnie got, oh yeah, he talked about it last week. They changed the automatic matching, so now the 3 tons are 60s.
Oh wow.
So that when he goes into, Price Book Plus, it
Oh
comes
yeah,
and it does the automatic matching, and
that's good.
most salespeople aren't making
Oh
changes to the
yeah.
automatic match, so
Hmm.
they're just like, "We'll just make this little tweak here,"
Yeah. Yeah.
and probably save themselves,
Yeah.
$100,000 a year doing that one little tweak.
Yeah. And which another thing I did is after I talked to him, I went into the software and I did a likely load range of his house and sent that to him. And I said I would, share this with him just because I did the likely load range and I put 5 tons, 110,000 BTU furnace to show like how out
This
of the
is where
range
you
it
are,
is.
right,
Yeah. And so I got that. I
and
sent that
your
to him.
house is here in the green
Yeah.
somewhere because it's a spray foamed house. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
Well,
it's
that'll be really powerful when we have just sizing, just the likely load range for
yep.
people,
Oh yeah.
because then they can just go and play.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be nice just to be able to send to people like that.
Mhm.
Because like in that situation, which I left a house just a while ago that was here. Actually, this was a funny one because I think it was a 2,100 square foot house. They had a 4-ton AC and a 96,000 BTU furnace, 96%. No, 98,000 BTU furnace, 96% efficient. Two-stage furnace, single stage AC. They used the wrong this is a 5-year-old house. The unit is 5 years old. They installed the wrong thermostat with it, and so, it was a hybrid as well, I forgot to mention that, as a single stage
Oh,
heat
okay.
pump hybrid 98,000 BTU furnace, 2-stage. The furnace has never ran because they used the wrong thermostat and they wired it wrong, so this house has been set up as basically a heat pump, single stage heat pump with no backup heat for 5 years and never knew it.
Oh my gosh. What happened when you told them that?
Well, so the people that I went out for, they had just recently bought the house, and they were like, "Yeah, the people that before they were nice, but they just did not maintain the house. It's a really nice house. Like this is not a cheap house."
Right.
And they were like, "Yeah, they just didn't do any maintenance." And so I was just kind of doing a heating checkup. I was running a paid ad promotion for just, heat checks and blah, blah, blah. And went out, was checking things. Static pressure was 0.96. It was high for, 4-ton drive, large unit. The ductwork was not the best neither. It was sweating like crazy, but yeah, I went to trying to
Not a
check it. I'm like, yeah,
surprise.
I'll do a combustion analysis on the system. We'll check it and make sure it's operating properly. I go and flip the thermostat on. I go to the unit in the crawl space and I'm sitting there waiting and I'm like, when's this thing gonna kick on? Like, this is dumb. Then the uh, blower fan kicks on and I'm like, that's not right. So then I go back in and I look at it and I'm like, well, it says it's calling for it. And I go and I put it in emergency heat also just to for context because I was trying to force the furnace to kick on. So I'm like, what the crap? So I put it back into regular heat. It kicks on, goes into the second stage for heat. So I'm like, okay, we're running 2 stages. Let's go check it out. And as I was walking around to the crawl space, I seen the heat pump was running, and I'm like, well, that's not good because
Mhm.
that shouldn't be running. I go inside, furnace is still not running. So I'm like, what the crap? I start pulling stuff apart, and I realize, oh well, one, when they did try to, they didn't wire it up right because they took a 2-stage furnace and wired it as a single stage. But since they used the wrong thermostat and it wasn't a programmable thermostat, which come to find out, they couldn't actually set it up as a hybrid because it can't do that. It was wired up as a straight heat pump with
Straight
electric
heat.
with electric heat, and they didn't wire it right. So the furnace had never ran. It never like there's this furnace, even at startup, like these installers installed the equipment
Never ran it.
and never ran it to see if it worked.
Oh, that is hilarious.
And it's
What'd
like,
the
well,
homeowner say?
oh, he was, which
Sort of baffled?
it was kind of an onion peeling type thing because
Mhm.
like I didn't realize this
Right,
immediately.
right, right.
So it was a first, first it's like, okay, well, 4 tons on 2,100 square feet. That's a lot. I didn't really say anything other than like, have you like checked the humidity? And he's like, well, not really. We've not been in very long. He had pianos and he had an organ system, like an
Oh
organ set
my
up in his house.
gosh.
So
Are you worried
I'm
about how those things are maintained?
yeah. So there's like little things there that I'm like, oh, that's concerning. That's concerning. I popped the cover off and it was really dirty on the inside. And I'm like, I noticed this. I seen it wasn't wired up as a 2-stage. It was only wired up as a single stage. So I told him that beforehand. He's like, and uh, he was following along with understanding what single stage meant and understanding that, oh, well, you have a 2-stage furnace, but it was wired up to only be a single stage. And he's understood why that was a problem. And then I'm sitting there going back and forth, waiting for this thing to kick on. And I was kind of making jokes as I was going in and out, trying to get it to run. And then I go in and I'm like, well, I know why I can't get the furnace to run. And he goes, why's that? And I go, well, this furnace has never ran. I'm like, this thermostat and the way it's wired up, it's never kicked on. You've only ever had heat pump heating and AC. And he goes, that makes a lot of sense. Because they hadn't had heating yet. He goes, that makes a lot of sense. When we moved in, they had space heaters in every room, and they offered to leave them for us, but we were like, why do we need that? We don't need it.
They offered to leave them. "Oh, you get buying this beautiful house." What were they, old people or something?
Yeah, they were older people, not like, I mean,
No, I mean the people they
yeah,
bought it from.
I don't think so. No,
Really?
I
Oh,
don't think
so
so.
that's
Not the way. I mean, they
maybe I
said
do
it.
need those space heaters if you need them.
Yeah. So it was. And there was a lot of it was kind of this uncovering of them being like, okay, this makes sense as to why they did this, and this makes
Mm.
sense as to this, and
Oh, that's
so
so funny.
so
Sherlock
it was
Holmes.
yeah, it was a good one because it came from, and actually another piece to this, uh, they they had reached out because I was doing a paid ad for this promotion. They reached out for the promotion and they told me after I got done and everything, he goes, yeah. He said, I really liked your ad. He said, I'd seen your truck through town and stuff. And he said,
Oh,
when I seen your ad,
so the
said,
truck earned this?
yeah. So he said, he basically told me in a roundabout way that he clicked on the ad and, submitted in to get for the promotion because he had seen the truck. There was the familiarity of seeing me around and then seeing the ad and was like, oh, I know that person.
I
Yeah,
know
I'll
that
do
guy.
that. So it was another like if I did not have the truck, I would not have got this work. Granted,
Right.
it was a paid ad, but it was, it made the paid ad be that more, effective
Mhm.
for the truck. So it was pretty fun and pretty interesting there. He he made me stand by the truck so he could take my picture so he could leave a review. So it was a
Oh,
good one.
that's nifty. So what's gonna happen there?
So starting out, I'm going to replace his thermostat with an Ecobee, so that way we
Okay.
can actually,
Track.
yeah, so he can track things and we can actually see, or he can actually have his furnace run when it needs to, and then we'll adjust. That was another thing I thought was interesting.
Figure out what his real load is.
Yeah, that too. But something I thought was interesting is before I'd started, because I had asked the question of, well, before I get started, was like, was there any concerns that you had beforehand? Like, was there something that you think I should probably put a little more uh, attention on for maybe why you wanted me out today? And he goes, well, at some point, if we can, he said, I want to adjust the thermostat so that way I can, because he said he wanted to adjust it so it could be more comfortable because it's a hybrid system, and he said he knows that if it runs in heat pump for a long time and then kicks over to the furnace, it just blasts you out and it gets really uncomfortable. So I thought it was an interesting take of
Wa
someone telling me of how they want
Wow.
to
How did he
adjust it
get that
because
information?
he said he had a hybrid. He used to live in Atlanta and he had a hybrid system there, and he said that it was to where
More
the heat,
comfortable in heat pump,
yeah,
but
yeah.
okay.
So so that was interesting. So, uh, it'll be fun to kinda, because 'cause we'll get this thermostat in. I'm gonna do a recommissioning of his furnace,
Yeah,
and,
right.
he
Make sure it
also,
doesn't burn the house down.
yeah, and he also opted for, my premium membership, which was also nice because
Oh, sweet.
I was
So he's a
only,
client.
yeah, I quoted just the standard membership like normal, and I was,
Mhm.
given the options, and he was like, "Yeah," he said, "I do want the membership," but he said, "I want the premium one, so just bump that up," because it was $100 more, so it's kind of interesting that he was, like a asking for more than what I was kind of offering, and then there were a
Wow.
bunch of other things that I don't think he's gonna do much with, the duct pressure problem yet. I think it's gonna be an in-series thing of, with the
Right.
Ecobee, he's gonna be able to track humidity, so that's gonna be interesting to see. Because now, I mean, if you've got an expensive piano and you've got an expensive organ, having the humidity right in your face all the time come next year, gonna be something that you're gonna be like,
Gonna
"Oh,
want to
this thing."
address.
Yeah, so I kinda feel like, and the reason I've not really I didn't I didn't really, go much into, like, the duct pressure problem. I just kinda briefly was like, "Hey, it's more than double what it needs to," and what I typically find in this scenario is the blower motor tends to go out, quite frequently, and then but I kinda
Early.
framed it in but you have a five-year-old system, so it's, do you wait and replace the system and appropriately size it so that way you can kinda deal with it, match the ductwork? Do you spend money on correcting all this ductwork and replacing stuff? Do you just ride it out and pay for blower motors? It's like, that's kind of a cost effective thing that'll be a little bit later. So he was like, okay. But
What was
I
the
think
static?
0.96.
At what fan speed?
It
Or
was
4
a,
ton?
yeah, 4 ton. It was a
Okay,
variable speed blower motor. So it was probably around 1300, 1400 CFM.
okay. And that's more than the furnace like, furnaces start to get big enough, you might need more airflow for the furnace.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where part of the commissioning, what I'll be doing is, kind of posing the questions of like, hey, do we really want to have the high stage furnace?
I can lock the
Yeah.
furnace on low, and then maybe your fan motor will last a little bit longer.
Yeah. And so
Because
we'll,
on what's the low, stage on that furnace?
I don't know. I've not looked into that yet. I just,
But probably 80 or 90.
uh,
It'll need a whole lot
probably,
less
yeah.
airflow than 4 ton.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the strain is gonna be on the heat pump side and the AC
Yeah.
side. When it's running, that's what's gonna strain it the most. Um, I'll,
Maybe you don't run the heat pump, you just run the AC.
yeah, that is that'll be some questions I'll be posing to him.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
Probably
this is
low is gonna be more than this house needs.
yeah,
So,
and I might
we
even go
cannot strain your furnace if we cannot strain your fan if we run the furnace and we
yeah,
lock it on low.
yeah, and I should be able to make adjustments remotely if he lets me sign into his account. So what I
Oh,
may
yeah.
even pose and say, hey, if we want to as an experiment, let's lock the heat pump, like lock out the furnace to where it only runs on heat pump, and let's see where it starts losing the battle. And then when it does that, I'll, readjust the settings, and then we can turn the heat pump off completely and only use gas furnace if you'd like, blah, blah, blah. But we can see roughly what your heat load likely is. And, and go from there, because I think that would be I think it would be interesting for me because I just want to know, and for him to be like a uncovering of like, oh, wow, like, you know, that's a lot less than what he I thought is what I imagine he'll likely say.
Hmm. That's a fun story.
Yeah. Yep. And let's see, I can't remember if I've updated my numbers yet, but so far the ads, I've only been running them for 2 days now, and they've already I mean, I've reached what they call or consumer financed acquisition (CFA), where uh, you make enough gross profit to pay for the cost of acquiring the customer, and I've already achieved that in
Oh,
in
wow.
in just two. So, and that's just the immediate like gross profit. That's excluding any more work that could come from, like, say, this customer and potentially a few months from now,
So
year or whatever.
you figured out a marketing channel.
Yeah, I think 'cause
That's awesome.
I set oh god, I made 24 total ads, and I'm running them all simultaneously to test to see what hooks
Oh my
work,
god, that's
what.
ABCDEF testing.
Yes, I've been testing to the max to, like, figure out, how to
Wow,
do this,
good
how to
for
convert
you.
it, what reach, what works, what doesn't, and, it's been hectic. It's been a lot of, like, learning on the go, but I've been happy with it just because it's something that with paid ads I like it because I can always dump more money. And if I can do an ad campaign that, has that consumer financed acquisition factor to it, there's no budget.
Right,
Like, it
there's
doesn't matter because if I
go
can pay
ahead.
for it in 30 days, I
I'll
can use
turn
a credit
I'll
card
I'll
and use
turn it
somebody else's
off
money.
when I have more than I can run.
Exactly. And so,
That makes me think that what do you think of that Ampli video?
oh yeah, overall, I liked it. There were some, we kinda talked about some of the
Yeah.
things that I was like, "Eh," but overall, I liked a lot of his, like, systemizing of things, and I
The
liked a
way
lot of
he
his
thinks about
automating of
growing
things.
that business, I
Yeah.
think, and figuring out processes that could just scale,
Yeah,
as opposed to building a process around the scale that you're at now, and then having to
exactly.
change the process once you hit a different milestone, and then having to change it again, and
Yeah.
employing and training people. I didn't really understand fully who's he using for installers.
Well, so it seemed like he was hiring people from the area to, like, get people, but I thought that was an interesting thing where what he said he did is he was running targeted ads for zip codes that were at supply houses and competitors he wanted, like, that he would be willing to take people from. So it's like, he was basically saying how, his competitors, their workers would be at the shop, like looking through, scrolling through their phone, or maybe they were at the supply house scrolling through their phone. And since they were within the targeted zip code, his ads were popping up going like, hey, are you a tech installer? Do you want to make X amount of dollar? Like, throwing out these big numbers and stuff because he was running super lean on the, operational side that he could afford to pay techs and installers a lot. And then he could draw and attract the better people around, and he was kind of poaching but not poaching in the sense like people were coming to him and just taking his competitors workers, which
And how's he doing sales?
uh That he didn't really. I didn't remember hearing him say exactly how he was doing it,
Is he
aside
doing the
from just.
sales himself?
I think he was just training, like he was hiring a sales force and training them. Because
Okay.
I do know when he was talking about managers that he didn't believe in a service manager, but he
Yep.
completely believed in a sales manager to have someone to like help train and do
Right. Right.
uh,
So
reinforcement
so is
training.
and so he does have service, because I wasn't sure at one point.
Yeah.
I thought he talked about not selling service contracts, which didn't make any sense to me because I think service
Uh.
contracts are a really big part of this business.
Huh. I can't
We're
remember. I don't remember hearing that part. Uh.
okay.
I wonder,
Well, the
was he
other
talking
thing is
about?
maybe he's training, if he does have service, maybe he's training them to do the sales.
Uh.
Because that's a
Possibly
model
so.
that's a model with the service tech as salesperson. That's a model that
Yeah.
if he's got a process, then he can let the service tech follow the process. I think a lot of service techs don't want to be salespeople,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I don't think that they're averse to following some kind of a scripted process that's low pressure.
Yeah. Oh
They
yeah.
they just don't want to be a high pressure salesperson that like goes for 3 closes and all that horse crap.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
which is in alignment with us because our sales process is really soft.
Yeah. Yeah. Funny enough, one of the reviews that I got today was they specifically mentioned that, saying how it was, there was no high pressure sales, didn't try to sell me anything I didn't need, only offered options, blah blah blah. And it was like,
Educated and offered options.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So, and then he was only selling one package, which I think leaves him somewhat,
yeah,
and it sounds like he's doing load calc.
yeah.
So he's doing
He's
load
using,
calc and he's only providing one package, which sounds like he's assuming a lot of responsibility. Particularly, I don't
yeah,
think it sounds like he's using a blower door.
yeah. He's not. I think,
So if you're not using a blower door, taking responsibility for load calc and only selling one line of equipment, I mean, not even a line, just one type,
yeah, yeah.
feels to me, well,
Which,
first of all, it's sort of coercive to a homeowner who may not have the budget for better equipment. And then there are a
yeah,
lot of houses, smaller houses really don't, you know, somebody lives in a small house, maybe they can't afford the better equipment, and do they really need it?
yeah. Which I know. Let's see, what were they in? They were in Denver. You
Denver.
said. I bet us with some of the contextual things around it, what I think he was probably doing is I think there's two parts of why he was using just the better equipment. One, since like if you're only selling green speeds, it's like, okay, do you want a
Makes it a lot
3,
easier to
4, or 5
size.
ton? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if you're using Amply to do it, which really the one thing I didn't like about I was talking about the sales process with using Amply is he was just kind of doing load calc theater of basically being like, "Hey, look at me scan your house with LiDAR," and it's like,
But
"Okay, that's
apparently
cool."
they do have comfort questions.
Yeah,
So I like that.
yeah, and
You
so
know,
I
he's
think,
asking a bunch of questions none of the other guys are asking. Do you have problems to
yeah,
solve? This is
yeah,
hopefully this is a 15-year decision. So let's try and avoid a 15-year mistake.
yeah. The
And
only
let me ask you
thing,
some questions.
yeah, the only thing though with it is like if you only have one option, you're really only asking questions to verify why the option you're about to give them is what they
Right,
need. And I
right,
feel like I think
right.
the reason he's choosing that is A, that's probably the equipment that is going to have, very low callback rate because it's like, okay, if the house is less than 3,000 square feet and you give a 3 ton every single time, well, guess what? You don't have any other option. And odds are it's probably going to work pretty good because that's a good piece of
Right,
equipment. And
right,
he don't have the humidity issues to worry about. So he don't have the
right,
mold.
right,
And so I think
right.
you factor that in. The only thing I'm not crazy about with what he was doing there is A, he's over leveraging the tax incentives. I think that's the only way
Yeah,
he's winning.
that's how he's able to win
Yeah.
for the people that have affordability issues
Yeah.
and probably financing incentives too.
Yeah, and then he's probably like if those incentives fall out, he will,
He doesn't have a business model.
yeah, he don't have a good business model. Plus, for the people that say no, he's kind of leaving money on the table because it's like, okay, well, sure, you didn't get the 23 SEER carrier, but what about the 20 SEER? Okay, what
Right.
about a Daikin Fit, or what about even the carrier
I
crossover?
bet what he's selling is Daikin Fit. Because
Huh?
if you were
Yeah.
gonna rest your whole business model on one piece of equipment, what would it be?
I mean, potentially so, probably so,
I mean, that's what
because
I would
yeah,
use.
I can't. Why was I thinking? I don't know. Maybe I just had carrier in my head for some reason, but I can't. I felt like he said like a SEER rating or something that made me think that. Uh,
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong. I may have to like go look at that again. But I mean,
Yeah.
that would make a lot of sense if it was the Dock and Fit because it's kind of
Pricing
inexpensive.
is pretty awesome,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and functionality is amazing.
yeah,
It's, the only thing it really doesn't have is reheat dehumidification, which doesn't sound like they need there.
yeah. They probably yeah. I mean, honestly,
So,
it probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense
doesn't
to
make a whole lot of sense to offer carrier.
yeah. That's probably a tough market for carrier. Which I say that, but most people don't even know why
They don't know.
carrier is
Right,
better anyways. So it's like,
right,
oh, it's got energy monitoring. That's why you should spend more money.
right.
Uh, or the 2 extra SEER points that'll save you.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, it's I mean, I will say if I were forced to only give one option, I mean, you could niche down on being like super high end, you know, guy that only offers carrier 23 SEER green speeds, blah blah blah, and like overly simplify because I mean it would simplify the sales process if you only have one option. Be like, hey, do you want the carrier or do you want the carrier?
If any of you guys did that, your closing rates would drop through the floor.
Yeah, you would have to. Yeah, it would take you would have to build a business model strictly around that, and it
Right,
would
and
be
do your
difficult to.
advertising around it, and
Yeah, I mean it could be doable, but it's like, how scalable would that be? How many rich people are gonna are in your area that you can market to that's gonna buy from you? You know, like for scalability, you got to be able to kind of. It's like, do you want to sell the Roadster only, or do you want to, get into
right.
the Model Y, Model S
You're
range?
gonna miss all that sweet Model Y market.
Yeah,
Hmm. So, I talked to Reedy today, and I was sort of hoping he would come because he had a good story to tell about, a lead that he went on, and I can't recall enough of it other than to say that, we had a conversation about this being a model about changing lives, and he's like, "Well, like, eventually, if you're keeping track of all of this business data, does that make you sort of does that make a niche where you're doing business consulting?" And I see that there is an opportunity there. Um, I want nothing to do with it, but I think the tool would support having an offer to somebody that does that kind of bit, like Ted, what's his name? If he
yeah,
understood the sales tool, it would help him help his clients,
yeah,
um, because it'd be much easier for him to say, "Okay, so we're gonna keep track of where you started. Go use this tool, go use this tool, go use this tool. This tool keep track of the business numbers, and I'll help you learn each of these tools."
yeah. I mean, That's a good point because that would, like, for a business consultant, I would imagine if I were having to do consulting for small businesses, a lot of the things that I'm just going to be like, this is going to be very difficult and a headache of dealing with some of these people is going to be the tracking their numbers. It's going to be how do you get, like, how do you teach them a sales process? Or let's say they don't know how to do load calculations. It's like likely load range, you know, the tables for
Well, you
offering
get them hooked
options.
up with Measure Quick, and then possibly also encourage them to learn how to do True Flow.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, like, that would be a very easy thing of instead of being like, "Okay, person, I'm going to now teach you sales," versus just go follow the script. Like, it's already done
Right,
for you.
just
Go
use
practice it
this.
in the mirror. Learn how to, ask them well and ask it authentically. That's it. Like, just go
Go
follow
take
this.
this course, and when you're done with the course, we'll talk about it.
Yeah. And then have them just go use the software because then it's like, okay, you're doing consulting. Oh, we got our checkup. Let's pull up your numbers. Let's see what you did. Okay, well,
Mm.
up, you're doing better. You're up to 60% closing ratio now. Let's see what your average ticket is. Oh, wow, your average ticket's up as well. Look, we're doing. Oh, look, here's your gross profit per lead ran. Think about that. You ran for every lead that you ran on, you made $4,000. Think about that. You could put into perspective and help them walk along of understanding why some of this is
When I
important.
met you, you were making 2,700 for every lead you ran,
Yeah,
and now you're
yeah,
making 4, which means that you got an extra 1,300 you could spend on advertising for each of those leads,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
which or on equipment or on whatever you want to spend it on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That would be, and I mean, if you had like, you could even get more customers with like this business model of like, what if you had this thing of sharing gross profit per lead? Be like, hey, if I can get you $3,000 more of gross profit per lead ran, give me
Give me half
20% of
of
that.
it.
Yeah, or whatever, and do because that would be like a low risk. If I don't help you get to that point, I don't make anything. Like if I don't
Right.
succeed, you don't. I don't succeed if you don't succeed. You know, type thing. That would be an interesting like business model for somebody that does consulting that way.
Yeah. Or a bonus. You pay me a
Yeah,
bonus on how much I
yeah.
increase. Um, so before we went live, you were talking about PowerShare, getting your
Oh yeah.
PowerShare hooked up, and it's interesting because I've also just recently inquired through the website on solar, the solar shingles.
Mhm.
And then I reached out to people who were on the website as installers for Powerwall, and I reached out to the people who were on there for PowerShare. And so I'm partway through the process, and and I still see things that say that PowerShare and Powerwall still don't work together.
I've seen that too. I don't know. Uh,
So
there's yeah, there's that's kind of the annoying thing is it's like, I
the
mean,
whole Tesla energy thing is like 10 years behind the Tesla car experience. I mean,
yes,
like, they worked
yes.
really hard to fix all of the rough spots on the cars. Now they gotta work really hard making this whole energy part work, and I think the market's ready for it too because, I mean, one of the guys, "Well, you have a Cybertruck?" And I'm like, "Yes." But also I think the new Model Y Performance works with PowerShare, right?
I think so. I think I
Yeah.
seen that.
So in December, I'll have 2 cars
That's awesome.
that
Yeah.
work for PowerShare. Did I tell you that? What's that now? That new Y is gonna have PowerShare ability, so it'll run the house if you're here and the power goes out. If I get the thing
Yeah.
figured out,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
That's
Tanner got his installed, and he's having trouble getting it to work. And then he's, like, calling people for help, And they're like, oh, well, that's a certified installer question. And Tanner's like, well, I'm the installer and I'd like to be a certified installer eventually, maybe. But
Yeah.
not if this is just a black box.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the lady that I spoke with, uh, I mean, I was getting close to calling her a few choice words, just because.
You?
Yeah,
Wow.
just because.
She really wasn't getting it because you're pretty mild mannered.
Yeah, well, it was just annoying because, like, okay, I call, and I tell them what's going on, and and I'm like, here's what it is, blah blah blah, and I'm like, I am a contractor, and I just kind of really just need a few of these pointers, or maybe a point to what literature I need to look at, or what I might need to see in order to do this. And she's kind of like, oh, well, are you a Tesla certified installer? And I'm like, well, no, but I'm the owner of it, and I'm also the installer because I am a contractor. And she's
Mhm.
like, well, she goes, oh, well, we can't do anything if you're not a Tesla certified installer.
Did you ask for the information to
Uh,
become a certified installer? Because that would maybe be the next step.
yeah, well, if she hadn't have been a cunt, that would have been the next step. But it was the tone of the lead up to that, and then just like, oh, you're not? Well, then I'm just not going to talk to you. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
okay, so it has nothing to do with competence. It's merely, do I have this special little thing that allows you
Right.
to, like, okay,
What
I
do I
can.
need to get that special badge?
Yeah, because it's like, okay, what am I getting from this? Oh, well, you get a support. So it's like, okay, so if you aren't this, you get zero support, but you get all the literature. So it's like, how about this? Either just point me to the right one, or send me to whoever it is that does know this, because she's like, oh, well, this is over my head, blah blah blah. And I'm like, no shit. It seems like a lot of things
Yeah,
are.
I already figured that part out.
Yeah, and it was like, she essentially says, "Okay, well then, I guess this phone call is wrapped up, because we're not going to help you anymore if you're not a certified installer. Goodbye." And I'm like, "You cunt." But anyways,
Wow.
be dropping the
Oh
c
my
word
gosh.
twice in one stream. But
I
yeah,
think we're
I was.
past the first minute
Well, that's good.
or 5
But
minutes, whatever YouTube.
but yeah,
Oh,
and
I'm not monetized anyway. What am I worried about?
yeah. Yeah, and what was really annoying is the gateway wasn't working. I mean, I had power, but the gateway wasn't working, nor was my charger, because like they weren't
Oh,
working right, and so I
good
had
thing
two
you got 2
problems.
chargers.
Yeah, which I figured out my charger. The charger's working.
Okay.
I figured that out, but it was like, you know, I had better success with putting Grok in voice mode and asking Grok than calling
Talking to
to
text.
Tesla.
Oh, boy.
They were like, that's how little
I'm
they
gonna
wanted
make a
to help.
lot of little clips about this and start posting them on X.
Yeah, make sure you leave the cunt part. I hope
I
the
don't think
lady.
that's like 3 times I've heard that word out of your mouth, and I don't think I ever heard you use that word before.
It's for special occasions, for ladies like that.
I guess it is a special occasion. Holy cow.
Yeah, but
That's funny.
yeah.
Um, so the other thing I'm thinking about likely load range to make a pivot here. One of the things that's become starting to take form in my mind is that you don't want to do a load calc to somebody's house. Does that make sense? Oh, you mute yourself. Um,
What do you
I,
what do you mean
don't
by
think
that?
you want to do just a load calc to somebody's house because that doesn't tell you if they got a good, a mediocre, or a bad house. And so if you do a load calc without having an understanding of, and so this took me all the way back to when we were doing energy use intensity. And if you think of that energy use intensity chart that I built in 2010, it's all it is likely load range turned on its side. Right? So if you used energy use intensity, you'd be able to help people not only potentially understand their load based on their energy use, but you'd also help them understand if they might be well served doing a little bit of air sealing.
Yeah.
Right? Because one of the things we know is that the low-hanging fruit for most houses is to tighten them up to reduce load.
Yeah.
So that to me was like that's the potential of adding another constraint point and another sort of decision matrix, because based on the size of your house and its energy use, you use a lot of energy. So you probably are over here in the red on likely load range. Oh, look, we ran likely load range, and in the red of likely load range is the amount of energy you use. So we probably don't want to size in the red ever, because you're likely to be duct constrained.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get 4 BTU out of 2 BTU a duct. So if the ductwork is your constraint, and then when you add energy use intensity to that, it's another reconciliation point.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you can look and go, okay, you've got very large equipment, which would indicate that your house is either needing a lot of energy or it's losing a lot of energy. So the EUI can then determine, is that true, yes or no? So it's like, okay, well, it turns out you've got a really high EUI. That means your house either really needs a lot of energy because it's bad, or you're losing that energy, meaning
It's not
leached
making it through the
outdoors,
ductwork. Yes.
insufficient equipment, something like that. So it can put into frame what the house currently is according to what currently exists.
What known information we have.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
all of these things are sort of ways to avoid using a blower door.
Yeah.
But we're not going to get the industry buying blower doors.
No.
After 15 years of thinking that maybe we could get HVAC companies buying blower doors, that's not ever going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you
So
might
these
get
are
them to buy
tools
it,
that
but are they going to actually use it? And then are they
right.
going to use it properly? Like there's levels to
And you
to
got to
that.
build a process to doing a comfort consult.
Yeah.
And you need to sell it. It really needs to be a service that's sold, because
Yeah.
like I talked to somebody this week and they're like, "Oh yeah, do your load calcs based on energy use. It only adds another 30 minutes." And I'm like, "Yeah, but these guys are running 10 leads a week. That's another 300 minutes. That's 6 hours you've just added to their leads." I mean, first principles, don't just say a thing like that because it's not your time. First principles, as if it was your time. And this is one of the frustrating things I had when I was in sales is management didn't really give a crap about my
Yeah.
time. And it was very obvious. Yeah, why don't you just go spend half a day at the house?
Yeah. Yeah. And then as you as a salesperson, it's like, well, I mean, if I only have 2 leads, do I really want to spend my whole day putting,
A
triple the
whole lot
amount
of
of work
time, and
into the two
and a
leads?
lot of homeowners are like, "Wait a minute,
Yeah.
I only allocated an hour for you."
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And
And
then they
that's
also look at it as theater, like you were talking
oh,
about
yeah.
before with, "I'm gonna come in and scan your house." Well, come on,
Yeah.
that is theater.
Yes. That's it all it's all it is.
It's home
Uh,
performance theater.
yeah. But
Uh,
it's one of those things though, that's kinda why I don't think blower doors will ever, like, take off in terms of being a common practice for HVAC practitioners is because it's not a good mechanism for theater, and that's just the slippery slope for home performance type work in conjunction with HVAC is just sliding into that, I'm hero mindset,
I'm gonna
theater.
come and
I'm,
fix your house. Who's
yeah,
gonna pay for it?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. Because you go out to a house and you pull out all these tools that nobody's ever seen, and you get a couple of people that, wow, that's cool, that's interesting, blah blah blah,
right.
and you start chasing that, and you lose sight of the actual goal, which is how do I, as quickly as possible, come to the solution for this particular person and offer them options in order to fix the problems that they have.
And by the
It's
way, most
the
of the
side
calls are
quest.
because people need new HVAC,
Yes, yes,
and that's always gonna be true.
yeah. So
These
you
home
just
performance companies that are selling insulation, they are not getting a whole lot of calls.
yeah, and which
And their revenue per lead and their margin per lead, and I mean, even if they are getting those calls, those are very if you wanna live in poverty the rest of your life, go into the home performance business
yeah,
because none of
yeah,
these guys are doing it.
yeah,
The guys that are making the real money are in the HVAC business, and they do it well.
yeah,
And I think the opportunity there is what we're talking about, which is turning revenue per lead up,
yeah, yeah. I
and
mean,
and
it's
then
a
and then you can start to buy market share because once you're at $6,000 of revenue per lead, you can start dropping your price, and then everybody else goes out of business because not
yeah,
only do you do a better job than all the other guys, but you're cheaper.
yeah, yeah. And even if you don't drop your price, uh, if you've got, I mean, even if say your price stays the same, or say your price is way above everyone else, which
Well, that's
is
the
going to
Ronnie
kill your,
story. He sold an
yeah,
$18,000 job where the guy thought his budget was 13, and he's like, "Why didn't those guys talk to me about any of these other things here?"
yeah, yeah. Well, that, and it's like if you're in that camp, well, then it's like, okay, well, let's say it does start affecting your sales where your closing ratio goes down, but you're still being so profitable on the ones that you're selling. Well, guess what? If you can outspend all your competitors, if everybody that's in your area, when they open up their phone, all they see is your ad and they don't see the competitors anymore because you can spend 3 times the amount of money that your competitor can't. If he spends the amount of money that you spend, he'll put himself out of business. Yet you can spend it and still be more profitable than he is, even at him spending no money. Like you get the attention, you can get the leads, and you can, even if you're at a higher price, you can still be more profitable at the end of the day than the guy that's not. And especially if you're so differentiated, if you kind of, if you can come in and stand out amongst, stand above all the other ones that all blend in together, well then, you know, it's a I would hate to be the run of the mill HVAC guy having to compete against Ronnie. Even as a small company that could easily underbid Ronnie and
Right,
beat him on price,
because
I would
Ronnie makes those guys he just
yeah,
crushes them
exactly.
over and over and over again.
Yes. I mean, you couldn't win that. And even and that's the smaller companies. Like imagine like even the larger private equity companies, like those guys, I mean, they come and go probably as fast as the smaller guys just because private equity buys and sells so, you know, constantly. It's like, oh, buy this company, put a bunch of money into it, ramp up the marketing. Oh, that didn't work. Sell it, get out, move to the next one.
Right.
So it's like, you'll be the one that's, that stays. Everyone else comes and goes, but you're outliving everyone. And I can't remember who it was, but I heard someone say that business is the game of longevity. It's who's around the longest.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're not far from getting your power share working.
I shouldn't be. Should be very. I don't know what
You
it
turned it
is.
on in the truck.
Yes. Well,
Okay.
it's when I open up in the app. Well, there's a few things I'm not sure about. For one, in my app, it's showing as if it's a power wall,
Oh,
not a gateway. So
okay. So
I don't
that's a
know.
problem because it's not set up for that yet.
Yeah.
So
So I don't
so you
know.
gotta
Well, I
figure
don't
out
have.
where the power share setting is and what it is, because it should not be showing up as my understanding.
Yeah. Well, what was happening is which I ran into like four problems that I had to figure out on my own, and I got all the way to the last one which is where I went through like the setup process. I scanned it, connected to the local Wi-Fi, connected it to my Wi-Fi, went through the setup process. It got to the registration step, which was the final step. And then it just gets stuck and says couldn't register, contact
Oh,
support. And it's like, well, that would be helpful if support fucking helped, but
right. What's the point?
yeah. So, and after I got to that point, I'm like, the
Is there a
charger's
local
working.
installer? What happens when you go to the local installer page?
I've not looked. I've I've put in a request twice in the past few years on just looking to talk to somebody about solar because I was kind of just wanting to be like, who's the local installer, and I wanted to kind of get a
Right,
relationship with that guy.
right.
But I've put it in twice, and they were like, "Oh, well, the local installer will reach out to you." Nothing,
And nothing ever happens.
nothing. I've done it twice, and so I've I got to whenever I
Maybe we're reach out and find out who the local installer is for Powerwall,
yeah,
because they're
I may
probably the most qualified for most likely to be qualified for this.
yeah, yeah,
And a
and
Powerwall wouldn't suck.
yeah, I mean, it definitely wouldn't suck. I wouldn't be looking to do anything like that right now, but
No,
I got I've got
but
other
you could
expenses
have the
that you know.
relationship and
Oh yeah, 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 definitely so. I'm gonna see. Uh, I gotta. I'll have to call and wait for support again just to see, and at a minimum, get either contact info or be like, okay, what does it take to be a certified installer? And I
right.
got if I have to become a certified installer just to, you know,
I
certify my own
think
install.
you might be happy you did.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, as you know, as solar and batteries become a more viable option, I'm not against if I can scale to a big enough size to be able to like absorb maybe a good electrical contractor and be like, hey, you're a good operator. Doesn't seem like you really like the business side of things. Let me handle that. You continue to run
Right.
it. Be a entrepreneur, and let's add in some solar and that sort of thing along with our offerings because it all works together. You got to have a good house with the right HVAC is way more solar friendly than you know a 5 ton 110,000 BTU
Yeah,
furnace.
right. We're gonna have to use your whole back field
Yeah,
with solar in order to
yeah,
run that sucker.
yeah. Just for the startup uh,
Right,
amps.
and you're driving a Hummer? Okay, so that's 2 that's a kilowatt per mile. That's funny. Well, is there anything else? I think we've done a pretty good stream for tonight.
Yeah, I think so.
We broke the hour.
We broke the hour. I would
Nobody
say
asked
that's
us
good
any
enough.
questions.
Yep.
Alright, after party?
Sounds good. Well, all right. Thanks everyone for coming out. We'll catch you again in 2 weeks.
See ya.